My name is Bill Williams, and we came to Anderson from Fairfax, Virginia, just going on 10 years ago now.
Now tell me about this group.
This is a group of newcomers who have decided to settle in Anderson, and they come from all parts of the country. We've got Yankees and we got Southerners down here. We actually have about 180 members, people who are getting together for social reasons, and we also do a lot of community activities, and we have dinners and events that we have for the club to try to keep everybody busy.
How long have y'all been doing this?
This has been a long time. It's been over 20 years in Anderson. They've started, it was about 3 couples who started the organization, just got together and decided they wanted to socialize and everything like that, and it has grown to this size in that period of time.
Now what kind of activities do y'all do?
Well, we do a lot of dining out. We go on trips together. We have fun club events, which include baseball games and go into plays, and we've been on trips up to Lake Jocassee in their pontoon trips up there. There's a lot of activities that the guys really enjoy, and we have one thing that I'm really happy about that we do have. We have a potluck dinner, but then off of that I decided to start what we call a Pop's Luck dinner. And the guys get to cook for the ladies at this particular event, and it's turned into a real lot of fun that we have.
Now the name of the group is Anderson by Choice?
It is, Anderson by Choice, ABC Anderson by Choice Newcomers Club, yes.
And what makes Anderson special? Why did y'all choose to settle here?
Wow. The wife came down to Atlanta, I guess about maybe 14, 15 years ago, and both of us were looking to retire from Fairfax, and she just drove by and she decided to stop at exit 19, drove up Clemson Boulevard into town, and said there's not a thing here that we have at home that we can have down here. So she fell in love with the city. We love the lake, we live out on the lake, and it's become home.
And this group is open to anybody who's moved here from?
It requires you can't be here for lived here for any more than 10 years. So that's the only stipulation on the group, but other than that, you can come and join the club.
Okay. But once you've joined, you don't get kicked out after you've been here 10 years.
No, sir, that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. Unless you don't pay your dues, and then we're quick on the trigger on that.
And where's the best place for people to find out more information about?
We have our own website at ABC Newcomers Club. You can check us there. You can certainly come to one of the meetings here, and we have a lot of information that we give out to people who just are visiting. We want to welcome Mr. Rusty Burns, the Anderson County Administrator, to our ABC Club. And Mr. Burns, a little bit about our club. We are a newcomers club, and with about 180 members at the present time, depending on who pays their dues tonight. And we have both city and county residents in our club. How many of us live in the city? Everybody else is a county resident for you, okay? And most of us come from all parts of the country. We got even some Yankees in here. We got some Yankees in here tonight. And we got some Southerners in here tonight. Where the Southerners? There we go. There we go. And we've chosen Anderson as our new home. We're a social organization, but we're also becoming a lot more active in our community with efforts and volunteer work. And we're especially interested in the activities of the county and the city, including business development, residential development, and overall planning. Mr. Burns has been the Anderson County Administrator since 2009, and he earned his bachelor's degree from Lander University and his Master of City and Regional Planning from Clemson, just up the road here. And I'm sure Mr. Burns will tell us about his responsibility as the county administrator. But part of his job is to manage and carry out the directions of the county council, which includes strategic planning and coordination of resources. And as an aside, and really something I wasn't aware of, the county has its own county TV station, Channel 193, and its own website. So in a lot of cases, when we say we don't know what's going on in the county, you've got a television set channel you can check, and you can also go on their website. So we don't have to depend on the Anderson Independent to get our news, which is a good thing. Mr. Burns, welcome you to the ABC Newcomers Club, and look forward to your remarks, sir.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here tonight, and just so you know, everybody in here pays my salary, so I'm going to be very respectful and very nice, and I appreciate it. The other thing is, it doesn't matter whether you live in the city because you still live in the county, and the population for the city of Anderson is around 27,000. The population for Anderson County, according to the census information that came out today, is around 200,500. I think it's closer to 204,000 people. And fastest growing section of Anderson County is the stretch between here and Pendleton. And the fastest growing section of the upstate is in Powdersville, which is up in the corner. That's the fastest growing part of Anderson County. But I don't know who you've had here to speak before, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about Anderson County because, like you, I'm Anderson by choice. So I'm originally from Columbia, South Carolina. So I came up here to go to that school up the road and had no intention of anything. So while I was at Clemson, I went up there, but there was no place to live in Clemson, so I moved to Pendleton. Fell in love. Never wanted to leave. Never did leave. And I started working for the county as a graduate student, so I've been here a while. Then it was a 10-year break when they got sick of me and I got sick of them. And then they asked me to come back about 11 years ago. So here I am. But the county was formed in 1828. The original county seat was in Pendleton. Originally, Pendleton was the capital of the whole Pendleton district, which had everything in the upstate. So in 1828, they decided to build a new county or create new counties. So a group of people got together. They went out to exactly where the courthouse is right now. They drew that off and said, this is going to be where the courthouse is, and they began to sell lots. So that's how Anderson got here. And Anderson is named after Robert Anderson, who was a Civil War general. And he was an Andersonian by choice because he was born in Virginia. So some other things that I find interesting, Pendleton was originally started as a retreat for people from Charleston. And if you go to Pendleton, you can see some of that effect there. And you can see a lot of the names you see in Charleston are represented in Pendleton. But some interesting facts about Pendleton. Clemson University was started in Farmers Hall, if you're familiar with Pendleton, the white building on the Village Green. That's where the Pendleton Farmer Society started. John C. Calhoun was a member, Thomas Green Clemson, and people like that. As a matter of fact, they're having a meeting tonight at the Pendleton Farmers Hall Society. But they had a lot of illustrious members over time. One of the members was a Mr. Maverick. Now, there's some people in here as old as I am, I know for a fact, and they watched the Maverick television show a long time ago. But the Mavericks were from Pendleton. And the Maverick, the old plantation is right outside of Pendleton on Highway 88. And one of the sons left and he went to Texas. And the reason they call cows with no brands Mavericks is because he refused to brand his cattle. And so that's where the term Maverick came from. He also practiced law in Pendleton for a while, where John C. Calhoun practiced law, with a fellow named Bonham. And if you remember, the heroes of the Alamo were Travis and Bonham, the two people from this area, then Edgefield County, but in the Pendleton district. So they came from South Carolina. Again, back to Mr. Maverick. He fought in the Texas War of Independence. He signed the Texas Declaration of Independence. And after that, he was a longtime mayor of San Antonio. And so you just have all kinds of those connections between this part of the world and Texas. If you look in old St. Paul's Cemetery up there, there's a Confederate general up there named General Bernard B. He's the one who named Stonewall Jackson when he said, look, there stands Jackson like a stone wall. Some people said he said that because Jackson wouldn't move his men out to help him, but then there's two versions of that story. But anyway, that name stuck. Another thing that's interesting, in Anderson County, we have an 18-mile creek, 3 and 20 creek, and 6 and 20 creek. And those names came from a place called Kiowee Old Town, which is right near where 6 Mile, South Carolina is. And that was the capital of the Lower Cherokee Nation. And the town of 6 Miles was 6 miles from Kiowee Old Town, the capital of the Cherokee Nation. 3 and 20 was 3 and 20 miles, 6 and 20 all the way down to the town of 96. It was 96 miles from Kiowee Old Town to 96. So there's just some interesting things about Anderson County. I could tell you a whole lot more. Some of them I couldn't tell you about. But Anderson County has a government council administrative form of government. We have 7 members of county council. Each district has approximately 30,000 people in it. That's approximate. Those 7 people represent everybody in Anderson County. And those 7 people vote to hire an administrator, and they hired me. And so that's my job, is to carry out their wishes and dictates and things they want to see done. We have, out of a population of 204,000 people, we have about 1,000 county employees. About 600 of those are in law enforcement. The rest of them comprise the rest of the people in our roads and bridges department, our emergency preparedness. We run the animal shelter. We fix your roads. We do all of those things. So you get about 400 people, which is very low for a county our size to have that few employees. We take pride in what we do. We're very proud of what we do. For 2 years in a row, well, it hadn't been announced publicly, but it will. But last year and the upcoming year, we won the award for recycling in the state of South Carolina. You may not know it, but we have 3 litter officers in Anderson County, and they stay busy all the time, and all they do is try to find people who are littering. We also have 2 crews made up of prisoners who go out every day, and they clean up various parts of the county. Another thing that people may not know is that we have a no-kill animal shelter. And that is very rare for a public facility to be a no-kill shelter. And we usually save about 94 to 95% of the animals that we take into our shelter. And we work extensively with rescue groups. We have a exchange program with the veterinary program at Tuskegee Institute, where they come here and train in Anderson. And our animal shelter has now become a model not only for South Carolina, but for the entire Southeast. And we call it PAWS, Pets Are Worth Saving, so we have that going on. Another thing that we do a lot of is recruit new industry, new commercial enterprises, and things like that. Probably the biggest one that we've recruited lately is Arthrex. If any of you have been up Clemson Boulevard lately and seen that big white building, well, there are going to be 2,000 people working there. And we're very proud of that because of what they make. They make every part in your body, orthopedics, everything, even little things that go in your finger. They pay very, very well. They will have a medical doctor, nurse practitioner, etc. in the building for anybody who works there and their family. You work there 5 years, you can go any place in the world you want to on vacation. They pay for it, and your family. It doesn't make, if you want to go to Tibet, they will pay for that. So that's a pretty good thing. And when we were trying to attract them to come here as opposed to go to Greenville, which I'm glad to say we won, but they do a lot of research and development. They've also worked out a program where they're going to be partnering with Clemson University. Another thing that a lot of people don't know, at one time, how many people are here from Ohio? At one time, Ohio was the tire capital of the United States, hands down. And now South Carolina is the tire capital of the nation. But Anderson County is the tire capital of South Carolina because we have 3 Michelin plants here, more than any other place. And the plant up in Sandy Springs makes the base product for every other tire made in the United States. So we're kind of proud about that. Another thing we're kind of proud of is we're the toilet paper capital of the Southeast. And that is first quality. And we worked real hard to attract those people here, and they promised us they were going to spend $1 billion and hire 1,000 people, getting closer to spending $1.5 billion. And if you ride around town, you can see that they're still hiring, and they pay very good money, and they do a lot of things to support the community, but they don't like a lot of publicity. It's a family-owned company who does a lot of stuff. I'm not going to tell you they provide all the paper products for our animal shelter, or they give to a lot of women's and children's missions, because they wouldn't want me to say that, but I'm not going to say that. Another thing that people don't realize is that we have Electrolux. Electrolux has been here a long time. You might, at one time, it was even called Frigidaire, but they make 1,100 refrigerators there every day. And they are moving into their new facility, which they've just completed, so they will be making 1,400 refrigerators a day. So from tires to toilet paper to refrigerators, you can get it all here. We also have another company here that makes the fabric for stealth fighters. You wouldn't know that, but that's made right here. And another thing that people don't know is that we have more foreign flags, foreign companies in Anderson County than any other place in South Carolina and probably the Southeast. Know that we're the only place in the Southeast that has a company from Monaco. Now, I'm sure that's not for tax reasons, because that's what they say. But we have all of those things going on, plus thousands of other things. We are in charge of emergency preparedness. If we have that bad weather tonight, we will have people in our emergency preparedness building who will be monitoring that situation all night. We have work crews that are on standby. And so somebody is always looking after the people in Anderson County when we have bad weather. And somebody will remain in that building, and we coordinate with our public works department. We will cut trees, we will do this, we will do that. We have arrangements, because we're not allowed to go on private property, but in an emergency we will. But faith-based organizations that can go on private property that we coordinate with the Red Cross. So you should feel real good knowing that whenever we have bad weather or snow or something like that, that we always have people on duty, on call. And if all of us have to be on call, we've done that before. But that's one thing that your county provides. Other things that we do, again, we work with the Sheriff's Department. We've recently increased the pay for our deputies. We were losing deputies to other counties. Now we're competitive, and we're getting deputies from other counties, and we've increased the number of deputies that we have, so we're proud about that. We're also building a brand new airport terminal, which is under construction right now. Recently, we just repaved our runway. Our runway is an instrument landing field. Every sport that Clemson plays, except football, they fly out of the Anderson Airport. Everybody who comes in to play Clemson, if they're flying, they come into the Anderson Airport. And if you think it's a sleepy little backwater airport, you should go there during the week and see the number of jets that corporate jets that are there. I'll tell you one story. When we were recruiting First Quality, we had to go up to Pennsylvania to tour one of their facilities. And we took the state plane, which Orville and Wilbur Wright designed and built. And it's always an adventure to fly on that plane. So anyway, we had a wonderful visit and all of that. So when we were leaving, we were pulling out of the airport. And then the First Quality jet pulled up. And we were ashamed. They had just purchased the Lehman Brothers jet when Lehman Brothers went down. So you can imagine that was a pretty nice jet. But anyway, you'll see that about twice a week out at the Anderson County Airport. Other things that we have going on, we're real big. We just developed Green Pond Landing several years ago. And if you're a fisherman, if you're a bass fisherman, we've had 3 Bassmaster Classics there, which is the World Series of Fishing. And people say, well, what does that do? Well, if you talk to people in the restaurant business and the hotel business that sell gas, they will tell you what it does. It brings people to Anderson County who spend their money and then they go home. So that helps our whole total economy. So those things bring in a ton of money. The only time Anderson County has ever been on television in Japan is because of Bassmasters, because they had a Japanese fisherman there and they followed that poor soul around everything he did. But that's when we were big time, right there in Japan. Other things that we have going on, if you're familiar with where the old courthouse is, the old Anderson County Courthouse, we are that lot that a lot of people call Plywood City. We're in the process of putting apartments and condominiums and public spaces and office buildings in that. Now, we're not going to do that with your money. We own the land, but we're working in a public-private partnership to develop that. And I think it's really going to be the centerpiece of downtown, and I think it's going to be something that we can all be very, very proud of. So we should be breaking ground on that sometime in January if everything goes well. There's a whole lot of interest. We did a market study that showed a big demand for people wanting to live downtown. As a matter of fact, we've got one person who's already working with a developer to design his condominium. And yes, it will have a rooftop space. So we're looking forward to that. It'll probably be, one of the buildings will be 6 stories high. So we're busy working on that. And we just worked with another group to get $800,000 to pave streets in downtown Anderson, which you wouldn't believe this, but Anderson County, I'm not talking about state roads or the roads in the cities. We have 1,700 miles of roads. We did a road study some time ago and we brought in consultants to help us with that. And then when we told them we had 1,700 miles of roads, they said, "Do you know you have more roads than a whole lot of countries?" But I can tell you why that is. In the old days, they didn't have county councilmen, they had road commissioners, and their only responsibility was roads. And if you wanted to get reelected, you built a road. So that's a hangover from that. Other things that we have going on is tourism. Last week, we had the Landmark Conference, and that brought people from all over South Carolina in the southeast to tour Anderson. We had a tour that went to the southern part of Anderson, a tour that went to the northern part of Anderson. So our Convention and Visitor Center Bureau is always working to bring new people in to provide income and jobs and more money for Anderson County. And so they're very busy on that. And other things that we do, we have a lot of, he mentioned that we have our own television station, Channel 193 on Charter. But for those, we also Roku, anything that you can be on, we're on. Greg Wilson, who has a newspaper, the Anderson Observer, which is online, which you can read for free, and he's put stuff on there every day. But Greg also does film work for us on our television channel. We also have a Facebook page that tells you everything that's going on in the county. You can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram, whatever social media you choose to look at, we're on there, and it's updated and it's current. The other thing that we try to do is we try to have town hall meetings and public meetings to keep the public informed. As you know, newspapers across the country have been shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. So back in the day, you could depend on your local newspaper to cover a lot of stuff. Well, they just don't have the resources and the money to do that anymore. And I think it's a tragedy, but that's what it is. But I think those are the highlights.